What if I told you there is a silent epidemic happening right now? One that is stealing the independence and vitality of millions of seniors, often right under their own noses. It's not a virus, and it's not a disease you can catch, but it is a condition that can be directly responsible for a loss of mobility, a higher risk of devastating falls, and a cascade of metabolic problems. I'm talking about age-related muscle loss, or sarcopenia, a process that can see some individuals lose up to 50% of their entire muscle mass by the time they reach their 80s. This is the reason why opening a jar becomes a monumental task, why getting up from a low chair feels like a struggle, and why a simple stumble can turn into a life-altering fracture. Now, what if I told you that for decades, we've been taught to accept this muscular decline as a simple, irreversible fact of aging, a one-way street to frailty? But what if that is profoundly wrong? What if the solution to stopping and even reversing this muscle loss is not only possible, but so fundamentally simple that it's being tragically ignored by the very people who need it the most? This is the great paradox of muscle health in our later years. We are so focused on complex treatments and managing decline that we have completely overlooked the simple, powerful, and essential strategies that can rebuild our strength from the ground up. Over the course of this video, we are going to dismantle the dangerous myths that have allowed this epidemic to flourish, and I will reveal the simple two-part strategy that science shows can fundamentally change the trajectory of aging, allowing you to reclaim your strength and your freedom. And I promise you, the second part of this strategy is something that most health-conscious seniors think they are doing right, but are in fact getting completely wrong. So let's begin by understanding the enemy. Sarcopenia isn't just about feeling weak. It is a deep systemic issue. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It's the primary place your body disposes of blood sugar. It's a massive reservoir of amino acids your body needs to fight illness. And it is the physical armor that protects your bones and joints. When you lose muscle, you don't just lose strength, you lose metabolic flexibility. You become more prone to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, and your entire system becomes less resilient. The conventional wisdom tells us this is just what happens when you get old. But this is the first and most dangerous contrast of what everyone thinks versus what is really happening. Sarcopenia is not a disease of time. It is a disease of disuse and improper signaling. Your body is an adaptation machine. It responds directly to the demands you place upon it. And for many, as life slows down, the demands simply stop. The body, in its infinite wisdom, begins to decommission what it sees as unused, metabolically expensive tissue, which is your muscle. It's a process of use it or lose it written at a cellular level. Now, assuming we can find a way to feel free to move, what kind of movement actually sends the signal we need to reverse muscle loss? Because here is the next great myth, the one that so many active seniors believe. They believe that walking is enough. They believe that gardening or swimming or gentle yoga is enough to stop sarcopenia. And while all of those activities are wonderful for your cardiovascular health and your mind, they are doing almost nothing to stop the slow, steady decline of your muscle mass. They don't provide the one specific signal your muscles are waiting for. And in our next section, we are going to reveal exactly what that signal is and why it's the true, simple key to rebuilding your strength at any age. Have you personally noticed a change in your strength or mobility over the last decade? Perhaps finding it harder to do things you once did easily? Share your experience with us in the comments below.
So what is this specific, simple signal that activities like walking, swimming, and gardening fail to provide? What is this one thing that your muscles are desperately waiting for? The signal is not just movement. The signal is struggle. It's the demand for a level of force that your muscles are not currently used to. This is the entire principle of resistance training, and it is the only language your muscles understand for growth. Let's think about this logically. When you go for a walk, even a brisk walk, your body is incredibly efficient. Its goal is endurance, so it learns to perform that action using the least amount of energy and the least amount of muscle fiber possible. It's an efficiency adaptation, not a strength adaptation. Your body has no reason to build new, metabolically expensive muscle tissue just to do something it already finds easy. But when you challenge your body with resistance, something as simple as standing up from a chair without using your hands, or lifting a milk jug over your head, or pulling on a simple rubber band, and you do it until it feels difficult, a completely different biological cascade is triggered. You're sending a powerful, primal signal that says, the current level of strength is not enough. We are under threat. We must adapt. We must grow stronger to survive this challenge. This is the signal. This is progressive overload, and it is the entire key. And this is where we see the powerful contrast between what everyone believes and what actually happens. Take the case of two neighbors. We'll call them Barbara and Tom. Both are in their 70s. Barbara is diligent. She walks 10,000 steps every single day. She feels she is doing everything right, but she still struggles to open jars and feels unsteady on her feet. Tom, on the other hand, was sedentary, but his doctor warns him about his frailty. So he starts a simple 10-minute routine at home 3 times a week. He does nothing but sit to stands from his kitchen chair, wall push-ups, and lifting 2 soup cans. At first, he can only do 5. It feels incredibly hard, his muscles burn, he is sending the signal. 3 months later, Barbara is still walking, and she is still frail. But Tom is now carrying his own groceries in from the car. His balance has improved, and he can get up from the floor by himself. Tom sent the signal, Barbara did not. Now, I know the biggest barrier to sending this signal, the struggle I'm talking about, is that for many, it just plain hurts. It's hard to challenge your muscles when your knees, hips, and back are stiff and uncomfortable. But what if you could address that discomfort from the inside? There's some fascinating new science on supporting and rehydrating joint tissue to restore that flexibility and lightness of movement. I've placed a link to this unique nutrient-based approach in the first pinned comment for anyone who feels stuck and wants to move with ease again. Because once that barrier is gone, the real magic can happen. Now, I know what you're thinking. The moment I say resistance training, your mind conjures images of a loud, intimidating gym full of young men grunting and dropping heavy weights. And you think to yourself, that is not for me. I am too old. I will get hurt. And this, right here, is the single greatest lie that has enabled the epidemic of sarcopenia to thrive. The belief that strength training must be complicated or dangerous is a myth. The truth is, the safest, simplest, and most profoundly effective strength training for reversing muscle loss can be done in your own living room with your own body weight. That's it. The simple yet ignored solution. Your body is the only dumbbell you need. The struggle of pushing your own body weight against gravity is the perfect signal to send to your muscles. But we've been conditioned to ignore it, to fear it, to believe that rest is always safer than exertion. I am curious, what is the very first thing that comes to mind when you hear the phrase strength training? Is it fear of injury, confusion about what to do, or is it just the feeling that it's too late for you? Please share your thoughts in the comments because this is a mental barrier we all have to break together. The signal for growth is that moment of challenge, that point where your muscles begin to burn and shake just a little bit. That is not a sign of damage. That is the sign of life. It is the biological SOS signal that tells your brain to release growth factors, to activate satellite cells, and to begin the process of rebuilding that muscle fiber, stronger than before. But here's the critical turning point. Here is the mini cliffhanger of this whole story. Sending that signal, as vital as it is only the first half of the equation. It is exactly like placing a complex order at a factory. You've sent the message loud and clear. We need more strength. The factory has accepted the order. The machinery is humming to life. But what happens if the delivery trucks arrive and the factory has no raw materials? No steel, no concrete, no wiring? The order cannot be fulfilled. The new structure cannot be built. This is precisely what is happening inside the bodies of millions of seniors. They may even be sending the signal, but they are completely failing to provide the one essential raw material their body needs to actually build the muscle. And in the next block, I am going to reveal what this one single material is and why even the healthiest diets are causing seniors to fail.
So we've left our factory in a desperate situation. The order for new, stronger muscle has been placed, the signal of struggle has been sent loud and clear, but the delivery trucks have arrived empty. There are no raw materials to build with. This is the exact scenario playing out inside the bodies of millions, and it's the reason why so many people try to get stronger but see absolutely no results and then give up, convinced it's just too late for them. So what is this single, essential, and tragically ignored raw material? It's not a magic pill, it's not a complex carbohydrate, it is simply protein. Now I know what you're thinking, that sounds too obvious. Everyone knows protein is important, and you're right, but this is precisely why the solution is so simple yet so ignored. Because what almost no one understands, what even many health-conscious seniors get profoundly wrong, is the amount of protein their body actually needs to stop muscle loss. And this is where we find the most dangerous inversion of all. The belief that as you get older, your nutritional needs, including for protein, either stay the same or perhaps even decrease. This could not be further from the truth. The scientific reality is that as you age, your body's demand for protein, specifically to build muscle, doesn't just increase, it increases dramatically. This phenomenon is known in the scientific community as anabolic resistance, and it is the missing key to this entire puzzle. Let me explain it simply. Anabolic means to build up. So anabolic resistance means your body has become resistant to the signals that tell it to build. In your younger years, a small amount of protein, say 20 grams, would send a powerful signal to your muscles to start the repair and growth process. But as you get older, your muscles become a little hard of hearing. That same 20 grams of protein barely registers. It's like the signal isn't loud enough to wake up the construction crew. To get the same muscle-building response you got in your 40s, you might now need 30, 35, or even 40 grams of protein in a single sitting. This means that for seniors, the protein threshold to flip that growth switch is significantly higher, and almost no one is meeting it. Let's take the mini history of a woman we'll call Margaret. She's 72, she's active, she loves to garden, and she is very proud of her healthy diet. For breakfast, she has a sensible bowl of oatmeal with some berries. For lunch, she has a large, beautiful salad with a small, heart-healthy portion of grilled chicken. And for dinner, she has a piece of salmon with roasted vegetables. On paper, her diet looks perfect. It's what every magazine would tell her to eat. But let's do the math. The oatmeal has maybe 6 grams of protein. The small portion of chicken, let's be generous, is maybe 25 grams. And the salmon for dinner is another 30 grams. Margaret is eating the total of 61 grams of protein all day. She feels she is doing everything right. But now let's look at the science. The current recommendations for active seniors looking to stop or reverse muscle loss are not the measly 50 or 60 grams you see on food labels. The research points to a need for 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, or about 0.5 to 0.7 grams per pound. For Margaret, who weighs 150 pounds, this means she needs a minimum of 75 grams just to maintain, and closer to 105 grams per day to actually build new muscle. Margaret, with her perfectly healthy diet, is in a state of chronic protein starvation. She has undereaten her most crucial raw material by almost half every single day. She is sending the signal by gardening and walking, but her factory has no bricks, no lumber, no concrete. Her body simply cannot fulfill the order. And this right here is the simple ignored tragedy. It is the repetition of the core theme. You must have both parts of the equation. You must have the signal of struggle from resistance, and you must have the materials from protein. Far more protein than you think. One without the other is useless. It's a construction crew with no bricks, or a pile of bricks with no construction crew. Either way, no house gets built. And this is why so many seniors feel frail. They are living in a house they can no longer repair. So I want you to stop and think for a moment. Be truly honest with yourself. What did you eat for your last meal, and what did you have for breakfast this morning? Did you have toast, or cereal, or just coffee? Did you have a salad with just a sprinkle of protein? Are you, right now, just like Margaret, accidentally starving your muscles of the one thing they need to survive?
Share your realization in the comments because this is the light bulb moment that can change everything. So now we have the two-part plan. It's so beautifully simple. We must create the struggle using our own body weight, and we must provide the materials by significantly increasing our protein intake. But there is one final, subtle mistake, a mistake in timing that can render this entire effort useless. Because even if you eat 100 grams of protein, when and how you eat it determines if it becomes new muscle or if it just gets burned as very expensive energy. Most seniors get this timing completely backwards, especially at one critical meal of the day. And in our final block, I'm going to reveal the simple protein timing strategy that finally unlocks the growth window and makes this entire system work, ensuring that every bit of protein you eat goes directly to rebuilding your strength and your freedom.
We have finally assembled the two-part plan, the simple yet ignored solution that millions have been missing. We have the signal, which is the profound and necessary language of struggle from resistance training, and we have the materials, which is a far greater amount of protein than we've ever been told we need, but we've arrived at the final hurdle, the mistake in timing that can make this whole powerful combination utterly useless. Because even if you eat the perfect amount of protein in a day, how and when you eat it is the final key that unlocks the door to muscle growth. And this is the mistake that 9 out of 10 health-conscious seniors are making every single day. Let's look at the typical, healthy senior's day. Just like our friend Margaret, the day starts with a light breakfast. Maybe it's that oatmeal with 6 grams of protein, or a piece of toast with a tiny bit of peanut butter, say 8 grams. Then, for lunch, a sensible salad with 25 grams of chicken. Finally, for dinner, they have their main meal, a large piece of fish or steak where they consume 50 or 60 grams of protein all at once. In their mind, they've had a balanced day, but from their muscles' perspective, it's been a complete disaster. Remember that anabolic resistance we talked about? That protein threshold your body needs to hit just to flip the on switch for muscle building? Let's say that threshold for our senior is 30 grams of protein. That 8-gram breakfast, it didn't even come close to the threshold. It was so low that the body didn't even see it as a muscle-building material. It just burned it as expensive fuel. It was a complete waste from a muscle perspective. The switch stayed off. Then came the 25-gram lunch. It was better, it got close, but it still didn't hit the 30-gram threshold. The switch still stayed off. So for the entire day, from the moment they woke up, through breakfast, through lunch, our senior's body has been in a catabolic state, a muscle-losing state, because it never received the signal to build. Finally, dinner comes. They eat 60 grams of protein, which is fantastic. It's double the threshold. The switch is finally flipped, and muscle building begins. But here's the catch. The body can only use so much protein for muscle synthesis at one time. Perhaps it uses 30 or 40 grams of that 60-gram bolus, and the rest is processed for energy or stored. So they've had one anabolic event all day, after spending 20 hours in a catabolic muscle-wasting state. They are taking one step forward after taking 2 steps back, and they wonder why they are still getting weaker. This is the simple, tragic, and ignored mistake. The solution, therefore, is not just about the total protein. It is about the distribution of protein. You must hit that 30 or 40-gram threshold not just once per day, but at every single meal. It is the repetition of the core theme. You must send the signal, and you must provide the materials at the right time. And the most ignored, most critical, most game-changing time of day to fix is breakfast. By starting your day with carbs and almost no protein, you are setting yourself up for a full day of muscle loss. This simple, revolutionary act is to front-load your protein, to start your day by winning, by hitting that 30-gram threshold as your very first meal. Imagine the difference. You wake up, you have 3 eggs and a large scoop of Greek yogurt or a high-quality protein shake, and boom, you've hit 35 grams of protein. The anabolic switch is flipped on at 8 a.m. Then, at lunch, you have a large chicken breast on your salad, another 40 grams. The switch stays on. And at dinner, you have your fish, your steak, another 40 grams. The switch is on again.
Now you have spent the entire day in a muscle building or at least a muscle sparing state. You have given your factory the raw materials it needs in the right quantity, at the right time, all day long. So let's put it all together. The simple yet ignored plan to reverse muscle loss is this. 1. You must send the signal of struggle 3 to 4 times per week, using your own body weight to push your muscles to the point of challenge. 2. You must provide the materials by eating far more protein than you think, aiming for that 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight. And 3, you must master the timing by distributing that protein across your day, making it your mission to hit a minimum of 30 grams of protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's it. That is the entire plan. It is not complicated, it is not expensive, it doesn't require a fancy gym or a magic pill. It just requires consistency and a willingness to ignore the decades of bad advice that told us to rest and to fear protein. And if this simple 3-part strategy has finally made sense to you, if that light bulb has gone off and you are ready to stop accepting frailty as inevitable, then please do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Our entire mission is to uncover these simple, ignored truths that give you back the power over your own health. Because in the end, that's the real truth. Reversing muscle loss is simple. It's been ignored not because it's difficult, but because it doesn't sell machines or supplements. It has been buried under a mountain of myths, but the power to rebuild your body, to reclaim your independence, and to decide how you want to age, that power has been in your hands, or rather in your muscles all along. You just needed the right instruction manual. Now you have it. You have the plan to rebuild your muscle. But as you get stronger, you'll discover something new. Not all muscle is created equal. There's a difference between muscle size and muscle power. And in our next video, we're going to explore the one hidden nutrient, a master switch for muscle quality that determines how explosive and functional your new muscle will be. And it's something almost every senior is unknowingly deficient in. You will not want to miss this one.